Good morning, everyone. Apologies for being slightly late. We had some technical issues as well as we're now, as you can see, in the shul. Okay, so we're going to take a few days to adjust and get everything right, but let's make a start. Today's learning is dedicated in memory of Leah Bas Feivel, Rav Yaakov Tzvi ben David Aryeh ben Yom Akiva ben Shlomo Tzipora Feigel ben Reuven Baruch Paul Kazmi Shalom ben Elali ben Bas Feivel from Shoshan Bas Yaakov Shmuel Caleb ben Bas Henoch Yom Yochia ben Moshe Eliezer Sar Marco Bas ben Yom Shlomo Yochia ben Yeshua Levi Avram Mordechai ben Moshe Katna and Aryeh ben Shimon, as well as the following yortzites, which are Breina Bas Yitzchak Yisrael, Chaya Breina Cohen, Julia Bas Yosef Saban, Bela Esther Bas Chaim Simmons, which all of their families, long life and only simchas. Okay, I'm going to try and adjust this. Apologies, everyone. Let me just see. I don't have a stand, seems to work, so I have to try and stand back. Okay. Okay, we're going to improvise for today. See if this works. Okay, tell me. I hope you can hear me. I'm standing very far back. So the Mishnah says as follows. So last time we dealt with that a person, when they are in a state of anger, they should not be engaged with. Okay. In other words, we have to validate a person's feelings and emotions, and we have to allow them the time to process. Mishnah goes on and says, Shmuel HaKatan, Shmuel the small one, known for his smallness not because of his stature, but because of his humility and modesty. Binfai Ivercha, this is from Proverbs, you'll probably recognize it. Binfai Ivercha al tisnach. When your enemies fall, don't be glad. V'kashla el yagel libecha. And when he stumbles, let your heart not rejoice. Pen yireh Hashem why shouldn't you be? Because Hashem will see it and he'll be, and it will upset him, and he'll turn his anger towards you. Now, the question is, surely the enemies of the Jewish people are the enemies of the Almighty. Okay, after all, we are the ones that are the light to the nations. We're doing what's right in the world. An enemy comes and attacks us. So why can't we rejoice? And yet we know, in relating to the story of Pesach, that when the Jewish people crossed the Sea of Reeds, initially the Malachim, the celestial beings, wished to sing praises to God at the downfall of the Egyptians. God intervened and rebuked them and said to them, when my creations are being destroyed, you think it's a time to rejoice? And because the Egyptians were destroyed, right? Because the salvation of the Jewish people came at the expense of the Egyptians, for that reason, we don't sing Hallel. We don't sing Hallel for all the last parts of the 7 days of Pesach, right? Only in the first couple of days we say full Hallel. The rest of it we don't. Why? Precisely because of the idea we just mentioned. How can we sing praises to God, right, when God's creations are being destroyed? And yet, in the very same breath, I'm going to tell you that when it came to the crossing of the sea, the Jewish people were permitted to sing Az Yashir, right? The Shira that we will sing on the 7th day of Pesach, the Jewish people sung as they crossed the sea. The Gemara asked this question. And in fact, the Gemara says that the distinction between the celestial beings and the Jewish people is that the celestial beings were not being attacked. They were not facing an existential crisis. Their lives were not threatened. So when the Jewish people came along and they sang praises, why were they singing praises? Not so much because of the Egyptian downfall, but because they were praising God for their salvation. So therefore, what we learn is that whenever any single person in this world, every person is created in the image of God, and we have no right to rejoice, to be happy at the downfall, at the setbacks, at the failures, at the hardship of other people. What a fundamental lesson. we seem to divide this world. It's becoming more and more polarized. Those that are on our side, that we like, and those on the other that we dislike. Let me just explain what I mean, because it's quite a difficult concept if we think about it. Consider, many of the enemies of the Jewish people. I don't want to become emotive and discuss about Nazis and fascists, but even if you were to take the enemies of the state of Israel, Syria, Lebanon, right? Egypt at one point, Jordan at one point, right? So when they were attacking us, right, how could we possibly not be rejoicing, right? So there is a beautiful idea about Remeir in the Talmud. Remeir found himself being shepherd. In other words, he was being ridiculed, being aggravated by a bunch of what we call leitzim or yoshvei kronos. In other words, scoffers, those that don't take life very seriously, and they decided to make fun of Remeir. And it got to Remeir, right? And eventually he wanted to curse them. Okay, and Bruria, and he wanted to curse them by saying, Yitamu chata'im min haaretz, right? That the sinners should be wiped out from the face of the earth. And Bruria, his wife, admonished him. What did Bruria say? Bruria said, rather than saying chata'im, right? The sinners, Yitamu chata'im, the sinners should be wiped out. Say chata'im. Again, Remeir wanted to say that the chata'im, the sinners, should be wiped out. Bruria said to him, don't say the sinners, say the sins of the sinners. Subtle, but fundamentally different. What's the difference? In other words, that we are to despise and to hate the behavior and the misconduct of people, but not the person themselves. It's something so fundamentally important when it comes to chinuch bonim, educating our children, parenting, right? We don't label children, or we do, and we pay a heavy price for it. We don't label children by saying, you are a lazy good for nothing, right? You'll never amount to anything, okay? There was a daughter that grew up in America, and she said for the first 10 years of her life, she thought her name was Shmata, right? To grow up and time and again when a child or another person, even someone you work with, to give them a label, to stigmatize them, to give them a derogatory term and name, it destroys the person. Shmuel HaKotan is teaching us, friends, and the lesson is clear, that we are to despise the actions of the wrongdoers, not the person themselves. Okay, I have to come close, otherwise I can't see what I'm doing. So let us move on. We're going to finish off. Okay, it's a fundamental idea. Good morning, David, Harry, Mervyn, Rachel, Edwin, and everyone else that are joining us. Okay, let's go, because we're going to run late, and it's a laning day. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forevermore. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim Zacho Es Nishmos Lebas Faivel Binyamin Akiva Ben Shlomo Harav Yaakov Tzvi Ben David Aryeh Sachs Tzipora Feigel Lebas Ruben Baruch Paul Casimir Ben Sion Ben Yitzchak Shalom Ben Elali Ben Lebas Faivel from Shishana Bas Yaakov Shwok Lebas Lebas Henach Yom Yachia Ben Moshe Eliezer Sam Marco Bas Binyamin Shlomo Yechia Ben Yeshua Levi Avram Mordechai Ben Moshe Katna Avram Aryeh Ben Shimon, and the Yortzites for today: Labor Bas Ben Yechiel Grant, Chanabas Eliezer Melchak, Le Ben Yechiel Grant, Meir Ben Laban Lankin, Blima Bas Moshe Yeshua Cohen, Speedwell Shalacholi Lamam, Bergan Aiden Taimno Chasam Lachim Balarachamim, Yasi Rain Besesa Kanafab Leonamim, Viasachasnish, Viasobasachanish Masam Adonai Nachlasam, Vianuchu Beshalom Mishkavam, Venoma, Amen. By tomorrow, please God, we will have a stand rather than me having to try to hold it with two hands and read sheets. Okay. Mi sheberach avsin Ramis Chav Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rabbeis Chaylim. Ma'avo Shana Mispalim Bavo Rambis Chazakash Baruch Yimale Rachmaleim Lechem Manufasam Yishlach Fushlim Shemaim Lacharivim Besach Shach Lo Yisrael Refuas Nefesh Fusakov Ashtabak Zman Karev and Amar. Amen. Wish everyone a great day. Look after yourselves. As you can see, we're back in shul. We're coming back. Okay. I was going to say Woodside Park community's coming home. Okay. Have a great day. Look after yourselves. Please God, we'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. All the best.